Hey, Denver Black with Soilcraft here in the bananas to talk to you about what? About killing bad guys, of course. Kill the bad guys so that the good guys can live, so the good guys can do their job, right? Isn't that what we're here for? Is to kill things. If we kill the bad things, then we'll have the good thing. Isn't that right? Isn't that the way it is? No, I don't think so. At Soilcraft, we think a little bit different. What are we trying to do? We're trying to create disease-suppressive soils. We try not to see it in terms of good guys and bad guys. For sure there are pathogens, but those are just organisms that tend to do what? That tend to eat the plant you want there. And don't get me wrong, that's a bad thing. I think we can agree that's bad. We don't want that happening. But there's a couple things I want to discuss. The first of which is obviously, a lot of these pathogens that are eating your plants when we don't want them eating your plants, they really only eat dead things. Dead things, Mikey, dead things. What does that mean? It means your plant, although you think it's living, and rightly so, it's planted, it's in the ground, it's taking in sunlight, it's taking in rain, it's arguably alive. It's vibrating at a low frequency, it has a low Brix, the nutrients are out of whack, right? Meaning it's not as much alive as you think. It's got bad vibes. It's got bad vibes, and they're picking up on that. So what do we want to do? We want to create disease-suppressive soils. Does that mean there's no pathogens? No, it doesn't mean that. There are pathogens. However, the ratios are in proper proportions, meaning the bad guys numbers are low enough and the beneficials are high enough so that our plants are healthier. So we have more mineralization and a healthier situation. But what I am here to say is sometimes I think we're looking at it differently. We're trying to build soils. And from that old TV adage, if you build it, they will come.
If you build it, he will come.
Well, it's a little bit like that. If you provide the ideal scenario for beneficial microorganisms, they'll flourish. The populations will increase. And the downstream result is what? Healthy soils and healthy plants. Balance of beneficials versus pathogens. What does that look like? How do we build those soils? Well, it looks like a few things, one of which we got to focus on ground cover. Now behind me you see a beautiful plantation of bananas here, and in this instance, in this block, we have green cover. You can see we have grass, beautiful grass here that's keeping the ground cooler, covered, and providing root exudates for microorganisms and mineralization for these bananas, not just around them, but even in the space where it's outside of their drip line, and there arguably we don't have really primary roots or even secondary roots out here. But we know mycorrhizae fungi, etc., will form fungal hyphae networks and mineralize the minerals in the soil from here and truck them to our bananas there. So in this instance, we're using that. In other instances on the farm, we have other examples and trials where we're playing with mulch, where we're using a mulch cover. We'll use dead plant material to cover the soil and create that special place where the temperatures are moderate and the humidity is maintained so that microorganisms can grow. To do what? To increase organic matter, soil organic matter, and soluble carbon in the soil so that the soils hold more water, they're more resilient to conditions, and there's more nutrient cycling. In fact, there's more nutrients in general, more available nutrients. And you will see these soils as we build them with plant cover with residue. You'll see that, in fact, the microorganism populations increase and pathogens go down. The soils will become healthier. Another thing to consider is what other kind of inputs. Instead of just looking at NPKs, right? We need to look at calcium, obviously macro. We also got to look at our trace elements. Sometimes, in some soils, they're going to be low on your trace elements, things like nickel or chromium, or, essential nutrients that we often don't even consider, molybdenum, at very low rates. Sometimes rock dusts and some other mineral supplements can help with this. But to that as well, what's another huge consideration? When you say water is pretty important. Sun, air, water, the three big ones, right? And so water, how much water, in what period of time, to what depth, Relative humidity. Yeah, some crops like bananas here that are very sensitive to relative humidity. And if we could, we would keep the relative humidity above 50% all the time, because they literally will suck in water through their leaves. So what are we talking about? We're talking about disease-suppressive soils. How do you create them? Surprisingly, through more simple concepts than you might think. It's through keeping the ground covered. Cover crops, plant crops wherever you can, no bare soil, kicking exudates in. It's through using mineral nutrition. It's by using products like our SV1, which is a soil, basically a soil stimulant, where we're feeding soil microorganisms soluble carbon so that they can flourish, they can multiply. And when we do that, that's less of a burden on the plant. We're basically subsidizing it. Foliar nutrition coming through. Right now, we're just getting ready to come through here with a foliar plan with our biostimulant, our LV1, along with our micronutrient complex. In this particular scenario, we're hammering zinc and copper right now because these plants are in dire need, and we have excess manganese, and we know that from our sap analysis. So we're going to stimulate it with foliar nutrition, which will feed the soil and help to have disease-suppressive soils. So anyways, it's a big topic. We often talk about healthy soils. Yeah, we want healthy soils, for sure we do. But what do we really need? We need disease-suppressive soils, because soils are going to have all of the microorganisms, and they should. Every organism has a purpose. There's no bad or good organism. Every organism has a purpose. The organisms are there to function, and just like we believe insects are often, they're coming in and eating our crop when our plants are unhealthy. Why? Because nature doesn't want that. The design doesn't want that to create seed, because the thing's unhealthy. We don't want an unhealthy plant making an unhealthy seed for another unhealthy plant. We only want good genetics and epigenetics going forward. And so in the same way that insects will take out crops, so will pathogens like fungi. Fungi will attack low frequency plants that are low energy. So we can increase the energy of our plants by keeping our soil covered, keeping our soil temperatures down, feeding our soils with minerals and biostimulants and soluble carbon, stimulating our plants to feed the soil, and having water when and where, how it should be, so that you too can have disease-suppressive soils. Anyways, thanks for stopping by, and please drop us a line in the bottom. We're down there in the comment area. Leave us some suggestions. Give us your thoughts. Tell us how strategies you're implementing are making your soils more disease suppressive. Thanks very much. Hey, thanks for tuning in and watching our content. We really appreciate you and appreciate you watching our videos. Please like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing here. Also, look down in the description down below for our website, link to our Regen Agronomy podcast, and our phone numbers and email, etc. Reach out to us, please, if you want to know more about the content you see here in the videos.